What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. So this might be the video that gets me booted off social media permanently, or get my accounts deleted. At this point, I really don't care. I'll be totally honest with you. The way that things are going, I think that this information needs to get out, and I think that I can present it in a way that most people can understand, because right now, the media is not giving people the truth, right? There's a lot more going on here with the coronavirus. Let's be real. I'm going to call it what it is. I'm not going to beat around the bush. SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, the coronavirus. There's a lot going on right now that I think I can help shed some light on. And let me go into a backstory. I always got a story, guys, right? So, and I apologize for the lighting. I'm actually shooting this at night because I want to get this information out. Usually I shoot during the day and the natural lighting comes in from this way. So I actually have a light ring coming from this way, which it is what it is. We just needed light, so bear with me. It's probably got a different kind of look to it, but it doesn't matter. It's about the information. So last year, while COVID was just coming around, we're just entering the lockdowns. And I posed a question on social media about kids and vaccines, vaccinated and unvaccinated kids. And I said, well, if the kids that are vaccinated go to school with kids that are unvaccinated, what are they worried about with the unvaccinated kids? If you have the vaccine, what difference does it make? At that point, you're vaccinated, you're good, right? Even if an unvaccinated kid gets sick, if you have a vaccine, the whole point of having that vaccine is so that you can't get sick because you've had the vaccine from that illness. And a good friend of mine actually called and kind of gave me some insight and said, well, here's the deal. If a kid at school who's vaccinated comes in contact with another kid at school that's vaccinated, and the unvaccinated kid gives that kid something and he brings it home to the parents that may not be vaccinated, or they may be vaccinated and have a compromised immune system, it can get the people at home sick and possibly kill them. Now, what he was saying was, of course, I didn't really know much about people that have compromised immune systems because I don't have that. My wife doesn't have that. Not many people around me have ever had that. So I've never really delved that far into it, but I go, okay, that makes sense. Logically, 1 + 1 = 2, right? It made total sense, right? But then I said to myself, well, if it's that simple, why don't people just say that? And that led me to research on my own, which is what I always encourage you guys to do. Don't believe me. Don't listen to me, and go out there and research on your own the things that I'm saying. Don't use Google necessarily. Use DuckDuckGo, use Bing, use things that cannot be manipulated, right? Let's be real. I'm just being real. So the more I delved into how specifically, I'm not saying all viruses, but specifically this SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19 virus works, that's where I started getting some answers. And the answers that I was getting doesn't jive with what my friend was telling me. Now, again, I'm not talking about all viruses. There could be something else that works exactly like him. But if you had a vaccinated individual, okay, we're going to have my great artistic drawing. I can actually draw, but this is just better, just easier, right? You have vaccinated and non-vaccinated, right? So you have the vaccinated person who has gotten the shot. Therefore, they are technically immune to this virus. Now, once this person here who is this is the vaccinated, non-vaccinated. This person is not immune. This person is immune because they got the vaccination, right? The person that's not immune gets sick. Now, while this person's sick and they cough on this person over here, these little things get there and get in their body, that vaccine that supposedly, well, we're going to go with the SARS-CoV vaccine, right? Should build up antibodies that take care of the SARS-CoV-19. So when this person goes back home with the parents, they cannot get what this kid has coughed on him because the vaccine, the antibodies are already taking care of it. When you're vaccinated, those antibodies mean that you cannot spread it any longer, which means the parents at home are safe. Interesting, right? That's how a vaccine actually works. Now, get this. The problem that we're having right now with the COVID vaccines, right? This is what led me to look into this stuff. And the more I looked into it, the more I got interested in it. And the more I got interested in it, the more I dug, the more I understood. Now, a lot of this information is going to be dumbed down from the scientific terms because, look, I had to sit there and go through this shit. And it took me, while I was in lockdown, it took me a long time to do this, to actually understand this stuff. And it took a lot of time talking to other people about it, people that knew more stuff about it than I did. I do have friends that are doctors. I do have friends that their spouses are doctors. My wife is in the medical community. We have a lot of access to people to ask questions about. So we're going to start here. This is the issue that I have right now in this day and age, the Delta variant, right? We're going to start out with the Delta variant because that's what's happening right now, right? That's what's in the news right now, the Delta variant. Here's the deal. We're going to use two different colors so that hopefully this helps people understand it a little better. So the first color we're going to use is red for the original SARS-CoV virus, right? We have the spike protein SARS-CoV virus, right? They use red all the time. So that's what they depict SARS-CoV as being red, right? So this spike protein. So the way that SARS-CoV works is the spike protein enters your body, the virus, right? And you have healthy cells. These spike proteins attach to these healthy cells in what they call receptors. They gain access to receptors. Now, as this gains access to this healthy cell, what it does is go inside the healthy cell, break itself down. It's something they call replicating. And what it does is it kills this healthy cell or destroys this healthy cell. When this healthy cell is destroyed, those new versions that have broken off and replicated, now you have more of these spike proteins. You have more of this, right? You have more of these things floating around with the spikes all over them, and they attach to more healthy cells. And the same process happens over and over again. That is called replication, right? So once the virus gets in your body, it replicates and it infects healthy cells. And the more healthy cells that it can infect, the sicker you get. So the idea is, once this gets in your body builds up antibodies. So what happens is it attacks these cells so they cannot get to the new healthy cells. It cannot replicate. Therefore, you don't get sick, or you get sick and you get over very quickly, depending on how fast those antibodies can stop the replication. But the replication is the whole key as to how you get sick. If you can stop that replication, you can stop yourself from getting sick. That's what antibodies do. Now you have antibodies, right? Bear with me. Bodies and T cells. Here's where things get a little strange, right? So hopefully you follow me so far. We have the SARS-CoV virus that finds a healthy cell in the body, infects the healthy cell, breaks itself down, replicates, and then attacks more healthy cells. And that whole process continues over and over again. And so you're very sick. You either build up the antibodies and get better, or you die eventually. Okay? That's how that works. That's just plain cutting it dry and slimming this thing down so you understand it. You don't need to know all the medical shit. It doesn't matter. This is how it works in your body. So you build up these antibodies that attack these viruses, right? Now, as your body's building up the antibodies, these T cells, these helper cells, these things come in and they start attacking these spike proteins too. So this is a natural defense by your body, antibodies and T cells. As your body fights these things off, these T cells have a memory, okay? They remember what these spike proteins look like. They remember exactly what these things are and they're foreign, and they will attack them if they get back in your body. Which means after you have been infected and built up antibodies and built up T cell immunity, you no longer can be infected. Which means people naturally affected by the coronavirus can never be reinfected. So these reinfections are not possible based on the T cell immunity and antibodies. Now, these are two very real things. I encourage you to Google T cell COVID-19 and start digging. There are papers that show that T cell immunity in the original SARS virus, 19 years later, they still had robust antibodies and T cell immunity. And Anthony Fauci's name is on that study. He knows that once you have had that virus and gotten better from it, you have complete immunity, T cell immunity. You cannot get infected. And because these viruses, if it does get back in your body, the antibodies and T cell immunity happen so fast, you can no longer spread it. So you're no longer contagious, even if it gets back in your body. It's quarantined and killed so fast by these natural things that happen to your body that you can no longer get sick or spread it, period. That's how herd immunity works. Enough people get infected, get better, build antibodies and T cells, then you give people vaccines. Now, enough people have been vaccinated and have this immunity to where most people are not going to be able to get sick from it. That's what herd immunity is. Now, check this out. T cells are very, very, very important to this whole process. Now, here's what's crazy. This is the part I hate, because I know this is people being scumbags and this is hurting people, and doctors, scientists are responsible for this right now. So we have a kind of a grasp on how this works. If I know how this works, they know how this works. So, because I found it out through research, right? So they know. So now we have something, check this out. called the Delta variant. Delta is going to be blue. So you have this Delta variant, which is a spike protein, right? The Delta variant did not pop up until the vaccination started happening. Once the vaccine started happening, the Delta variant popped up. Now here's what's interesting. The CDC, WHO, medical media, whatever, all of them, consider you to be fully vaccinated after both doses of the vaccine, which means people that have been vaccinated with only one dose are considered unvaccinated. Bear with me. Unvaccinated people, but the majority of people getting the Delta variant, which by the way is not deadly, it's actually a lot weaker than the original COVID, but they're technically getting infected, right? People that have had both vaccines are the ones, 99% of the people actually getting the Delta variant. The people that are unvaccinated getting it, they would make you believe that the vaccinated is spreading it to the unvaccinated. What's happening is the unvaccinated are actually the people that have only had one vaccination. Interesting, right? So basically everybody getting the vaccine, by my book, is vaccinated. It means you've had a shot in your system. Not every vaccine is 2 vaccines. So you've had 1 shot of the vaccine. That means everybody getting the Delta has had the vaccine. How is that possible? How is that happening? Check this out. I tried to explain this to many people last year and no one would listen. This vaccine is not a vaccine at all. It is an mRNA, which leads to DNA, okay? So you have ribonucleic acid and dinucleic acid. Now, this mRNA vaccine, right, what they do is they implant this code when they inject it into you. So you have proteins that make up the mRNA. The mRNA makes up the DNA, and this basically is what tells your body what to do. This tells your body what to create to tell your body what to do. By them inserting this vaccine into the mRNA, your body now creates, right, via the DNA. It tells your body to create the spike protein. That's how this vaccine works. When you get the injection, you're not being injected with the virus, which a lot of times that's what these vaccines are. You get injected with a small amount of the dead virus. Your body builds up antibodies because it finds it in your body. Ta-da. No. What happens is you get this injection of the vaccine. Your body now makes spike protein all the time, and that never stops. This vaccine makes your body make spike proteins all the time for the rest of your life. And the science behind it is, as you're making these spike proteins now, your body will make antibodies to fight that off all the time. So your body is constantly in this influx of new spike proteins being made, new antibodies being created to fight that spike protein. Hang on a second. Did you just say my body's making spike proteins? Yes. Your body is making coronavirus, but it's not the SARS-CoV-2. Your body is making now, at this time, the Delta variant. You are, the vax is the Delta variant. That's the whole crux. That's the whole rub on the whole situation. You have been injected with something that creates this now all the rest of your life. And the antibodies can't keep up because your body's constantly making it new. As the antibodies come up and they try to shut this down and kill it, guess what? Your body, your DNA tells your body, your mRNA tells your DNA to make more, and the antibodies try to go after it. They're getting sick because their body is making them sick because of the vaccine. It creates the antibodies. Now, the bitch about this, the worst part, your body's T-cell immunity, the T-cells, remember those, the very important ones, get wiped out. Your body never makes the T-cells that it needs to help the antibodies get rid of this. It's a constant new flux all the time. So even if your body killed all that vaccine off, hey, your DNA is going to tell your body to make more. Your body's under more stress from that vaccine than it would be if you get the virus naturally. The Delta variant is the vaccine. That's how this vaccine works. Don't take my word for it. Go out there and research it yourself. They're not even hiding the information. The CDC put the information out. Pfizer, they're all putting this out right now. And this is not conspiracy. This is based on their science. This is based on what they are saying, how it works. Get this. This is the other part that upsets me a lot. Now that we have this Delta variant out, and people were already getting sick and getting over it and having T-cell immunity, right? Which means that you can no longer get sick, nor can you spread it after you got it. My elderly mom, stage 4 terminal cancer, 2 heart attacks, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, smokes 2 packs a day, got COVID. She got COVID. So when she went to the doctor after getting over COVID, the first thing the doctor says, you got to get the vaccine. And I told her, I said, Mom, do not let them make you get that vaccine. Do not let them force you into it. Don't let them trick you into it. And I told her about the antibodies and the T cells. So she asked the doctor, tell me about antibodies. He said, oh, the antibodies may not last, which is a lie. Because we know from the data that Anthony Fauci's name is on, 19 years after the original SARS-CoV, I don't remember which one it was, but the SARS virus when it came out, which is essentially the same exact structure as this one, slightly different, with the spike proteins, which is what makes it really nasty with the new COVID. Those antibodies are still there after 19 years and they're robust, including T cells. So they know for a fact that this thing, once you're over it, you're protected. You're good, you're immune, period. So he was lying. The doctor was lying. Now, whether or not he knew or he was getting bad information doesn't really matter. It's bullshit. So she said, okay, tell me about my T cells. And the doctor actually asked her, what do you know about T cells and how do you know about them? He's like, do you have somebody in your family that's a doctor or something like that? And she said, no. She said, my son told me about it. He said, well, the T cells, da. And eventually what wound up in that conversation was the doctor said, well, I guess you really don't need it at this point, so we're not going to force it on you. But if you want to get it, my mom's like, well, why would I want to get it? I just beat COVID by myself. Why would I want to get it? I have an immunity to it now. That's how the conversation went. My mom was educated enough when she walked in there to shut that doctor down, and they didn't put that poison in her arm, period. Now, here's the thing. My mom, had she gone in there and gotten that vaccine, so she had originally had COVID, right? She got better. They told her to get the vaccine. Well, she had antibodies, right? And she had T cells. Here's the great thing. If they had given my mom the vax, she would now have antibodies, of course. The body would keep making antibodies towards the vax, right? But she would never have that. It would cut out the T cell immunity because the body would constantly be making that spike protein, and the antibodies are constantly being made. And as soon as it's dead, another version of it comes right back up. Now, the great thing about T cells is, get this, natural T cell immunity. Once you've had COVID and got over it, natural T cells will not only recognize the original, like COVID, but every mutation and variant thereafter. You are protected from the quote-unquote Delta if you have a natural immunity. So why are so many people being forced or told to get the vaccine when they had COVID and they got over it and got better? They are completely immune for the rest of their lives from every single variant that's coming. However, if you're one of those people like my mom, who wound up getting the vaccine after they got better, and then wound up getting the Delta variant, because the Delta variant is the jab. The Delta variant is what your body is making. It's not the same thing as the original COVID that you had. So you have more antibodies being made from a new spike protein that's in your body, to where it constantly makes all these antibodies and never builds up T cell immunity. So you never get a natural immunity to the Delta variant. That thing for the rest of your life, whether you feel it or not, your body's going to be making that Delta variant, that spike protein from the shot for the rest of your life. This cannot be undone right now medically in any way, shape, or form. It's never meant to be undone. It's meant to last a lifetime. But you will have the Delta variant in your body for the rest of your life. And what's even crazier is the shedding that comes with this Delta variant, with the vax, means you're more contagious, right, than the original COVID. So they're saying, oh, this thing is way more dangerous. It's way more contagious. It's way more contagious. Hang on a second. We know that in the wild, viruses, as they come up with new variants and mutations, get weaker. This thing is much weaker as far as the side effects from it, as far as you feel, how you get sick. But it is stronger compared to the original virus. So essentially, with this happy horseshit vaccine that they've put out because they rushed it, right? I'm gonna be real. I'm not gonna go conspiracy theory. I'm gonna say they just rushed it and fucked up and didn't know what they were doing. I'm gonna be real about it like that, okay? It's easy to go on a conspiracy theory and they're trying to depopulate it. I'm not going that direction. I'm saying they rushed a vaccine that normally takes 12 to 14 years. They didn't test it. They don't know what the fuck is in it. When you get the vaccine, there's nothing on that paper, that insert, and that should have everything that's in it, explain what everything does, there's nothing. They rushed this thing, they half-assed it, and I think they fucked up. I think they screwed up to the point where they're now like, oh shit, like we just made it worse. People that have the Delta that have gotten the vaccine, are being told to wear masks outside. Newsflash, when COVID hit, we weren't told to wear masks outside. COVID killed 5 million people in America. We still weren't being told to wear masks outside. It was only inside when you were around people, indoors. Now, they're shedding so much, and that Delta is so much worse, supposedly, and it spread so fast that vaccinated people, the people that were told they didn't have to wear masks anymore if they were vaccinated, now have to wear a mask outside, inside, around their family. They're even telling them to wear them in their fucking houses at this point. That's where we are from this Delta. Although the death toll is almost non-existent with the Delta, although it's so much more contagious. So you see, guys, like there's a lot like I have learned about virus replication, how these things attack your system. I personally had COVID. I had it and got over it. I know exactly what it's like. I know exactly what it's all about. My mom had it. I mean, so my uncle had it. So many people around me had it. Not one person died from it because they had strong enough immune systems, including my mom, who has a compromised immune system. But this Delta variant is what they're pushing right now, the fear of the Delta. Well, the Delta would not be here if those vaccines didn't exist. And that's a fact. You can argue with me. You can tell me I'm a conspiracy theorist. You can tell me I'm crazy, I'm stupid on these things. Don't listen to me. Go out there, get on DuckDuckGo, get on Bing, and research yourself. Research how viruses replicate. Research respiratory viruses. Go out there and literally look up T-cell and COVID. Look that up. Look that up. Right? Google T-cells. Right? Look that up. See what they are. Look this up. Look these up. Don't listen to me. Go out there and do the work for yourself. The problem is we're in this predicament right now because many of you out there haven't done your research. Many of you out there have no idea what the fuck this is. I took it upon myself to go learn this because I didn't know. And I didn't want to listen to the TV because I knew something was up. I didn't want to listen to these reporters. I don't want to listen to the people that were being fed themselves false information to feed to us. Now, I'm not saying everybody in the news is out to get us. I'm not saying everybody in the hospital is out to get us. I'm saying that the people that are feeding the information to the news are wrong. I'm saying the people that are feeding the information to the hospitals are wrong. The doctors are wrong. There are certain people out there who know exactly what the fuck is going on. What's behind it, I don't know, and I don't care. The whole point is to get the information out so that people are safe. If you have had the vaccine, you are more likely to get the Delta variant than anyone else on this fucking planet. I can't tell you right now, officially, that one person that we've heard of anywhere, and I've been digging, that didn't have a vaccine got the Delta variant. How interesting is that? A lot of stuff doesn't make sense right now, guys. But I can tell you this. This is how the virus works. This is how viruses in general work. This is how your body fights back. This is how your immune system fights back. This is what they should be talking about and teaching us and letting us know what the fuck is going on so we can protect ourselves. All you have to do is make sure that you are eating right. Make sure that you are not obese. Make sure you don't have type 2 diabetes. Make sure you don't smoke. You don't have high inflammation. Make sure that there's a lot of things that you're doing right now. Drinking alcohol, all the things that they wanted us to do. Eat all kinds of junk food. Increases inflammation in the body. Higher the inflammation, the more likely you're going to have the cytokine storm, which will kill you from COVID. So instead of putting this information out and saying, look, we have hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. Those are to treat it. We need to get it early. So if you have any symptoms coming in, we'll give you the pills. But we need you to change your diet. We need you to do this. You know, they don't want you to tell you to change your lifestyle. They're going to give you a jab that might fucking kill you. Like, the whole key to beating this entire thing is to stop acting like a bunch of assholes and living unhealthy lifestyles. That's the problem. It's not a virus. It's not a vaccine. This virus just exposed how bad and unhealthy we are in America to begin with and all over the world. That's all it did. It exposed how unhealthy and how bad we treat ourselves on a daily basis in our health. It didn't all of a sudden just jump up and kill all these healthy people. You got people pointing out, oh, this person's healthy and they died. Healthy what? Tell me what healthy is. What are the inflammatory markers? When's the last time they had a heart checkup? When's they have the EKG? What? Tell me when they had this stuff. Like, when's the last time they had a stress test? You don't know shit. You have no idea. You go to the doctor, they listen with a stethoscope, they hit you in the knee, they pull a little bit of blood and they go, all right, you're good. Right? They're not doing, they don't know what's going on with your lungs long term. They may not be able to hear something. Doesn't mean something's not in there. Like, people, I can't wrap my head around the fact that people are just looking for any excuse to not take any responsibility for themselves. This is me taking responsibility. I didn't have to go out and learn this shit. I didn't need to do this for school. I didn't need to do this for my job. I didn't do this for anything. I did this because I wanted to know, and that's how I am. Most of you know me. The reason why I know what I know about nutrition, I know what I know about training, health, fitness, all that stuff is because I wanted to know it. I never intended on it being a job or a career. It was my lifestyle. I wanted to know how to take care of myself, how to better myself as a bodybuilder, how to better my health. I wanted to know those things. So therefore, I took it upon my own self, my personal responsibility to do the homework, learn these things, right, about how the body works. And now I'm getting into viral replication, which is very interesting because I'm telling you guys right now, very soon, we're going to see some things. I think that's going to help with this a lot. They're talking about these new therapies that are coming out, and it's the companies that made the vaccine. It's killing me. One of the companies, Johnson, whichever one it is, they're coming out with a hydroxychloroquine nasal spray. Hydroxychloroquine is the answer. That's what they're saying. We tried the vaccine, it didn't work. We're going to try hydroxychloroquine. What? Like, isn't that the stuff that people were talking about that you banned? Like, some things are not adding up. And again, I'm not going into conspiracy theories and shit like that, but the bottom line is this information is correct. This information is real. This information won't be shown to you on the news. There won't be any documentaries on it. You will not see it unless I show it to you. You go look for it. You could have looked for all this stuff yourself. You could have all figured this stuff out yourself, but that takes a lot of work and a lot of time. And yes, I took a lot of work and a lot of time out of my life to do this. And I shouldn't hand it off to anybody. I should be like, go find out yourself or fuck it, die. That's how I should be like, go fucking drop. That's not me, guys. I care. I don't want you to be sick. I don't want you to die. I don't want your family members to be sick and die. I don't want that. I want you to be educated. I want you not to just listen to me. I want you to learn this stuff. I don't want you to look at this and say, well, Jerry's right, Jerry's right. No, I want you to go out there and understand this stuff. Maybe you can understand it even better than I can. But the bottom line, this little bit right here, this should pique your interest enough to go, Jerry's out of his tree. Or is he? Let me go check it out. And by the time you're done, you'll come to all the same conclusions I did. You'll read all the same research I did. You'll see all the names like Fauci's on that research like I did. And you'll come to the conclusion yourself that something fishy is going on here. But at least then you'll know how this works in order to protect yourself. BioStreetTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BioStreet.com is a blog. If I never see you guys again because I'm kicked off social media, I love you guys. And we're out.